Ready to break free from mediocrity and step into greatness? I recently sat down with author Nate Green to discuss his book, Suck Less, Do Better, where he laid out the steps to get out of your own way and to achieve your greatest success. So let's dive right in and welcome Nate Green. Your damn book, it was Suck Less, Do Better. I'm like, well, what can I add to my plate in life? Because I have nothing else going on. I know I'm going to ask Nate to interview him.
That's awesome.
But let's kind of get right into it. Suck Less, Do Better. Who inspired you? What inspired you to write this book?
Well, one, I'm always a little bit snarky by nature. I've got a little bit of bite to my personality. And so I knew that the first book that I wrote had to have a little bit of my personality just seen through it. And so when you're walking through and like dealing with that side of the coin, then it's like, okay, what is it that's a saying that means something to me that could be a great hook for a book? And so the term suck less, do better is something that I've been telling myself for about 15 years. And it's the daily over and over again showing up, progressing myself, not worried about everybody else around me, only worry about the version of me today and how do I compare against the version of me yesterday. So suck less, do better every single day. Been saying that for 15 years. And so that's where when I was talking to my publisher, she's like, I love it. And I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, I think the title just kind of drags you in, like, oh my goodness. But like it's awesome. I wanted to talk a little bit about something that, stuff that resonated with me in the book. You had said, this is your one life to live, and there are no redos, so make this one count. And then, how you really wanted to make the best version of yourself and for your children. So it's kind of something that they can mirror. And then second thing, you reference your 80/20 and your why. And that's actually interesting to me because here in Keller Williams, we speak a lot, our culture, excuse me, is a lot about our 80/20 rule and our big why. But can you kind of
Mm.
elaborate a little bit about what that means for you?
Yeah, so the 80/20 rule, I'm going to kind of try to walk it backwards. So the 80/20 rule, it's all about making sure that all the effort that you are putting in, that you're using your greatest assets, the greatest version of you, the greatest skill sets. Because, as you can understand, is like if we have this whole list of things that we are good at, and then you try to identify what you are great at. And then people like me, I really suck at a lot of other things. And so you have that top 20% that's like the greatest activities that you could be doing that moves the needle forward the most in your life. Underneath that, the next 20, I call that your danger zone because that's the things that maybe you are capable of. You can do, but it doesn't get you the most amount of progression, the most amount of momentum in your life. And so that's the danger zone. Everything else, it's like the no touch. You shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't be working at it. Man, you need to stay as far away from it as possible. Delegate, delegate, delegate. And that's for me, it's always making sure that the edge that you're trying to cut through the cheese, cut through the bread, whatever it is, the sharpest possible and gaining the most amount of just momentum in your life.
Yeah, I think for us, we use the word leverage. And I think that's where most people kind of get stuck. It's like, and I'm guilty. I do it best. I'm the only one that can do it. And then you're just
Mm.
doing it and burnout. And then you're not really doing the 20%. You're really doing the 80%. And it's just, getting you not as far as you could be if you were focusing on that,
Yeah,
20%.
100%, especially like in my early days of business, I found myself taking on way too much and I was living in the 20% and then the danger zone. And next thing you know, I'm doing all these different things, but then you don't have time for the things that builds the best relationships that get you the most momentum towards that next referral, that next client. And next thing you know, you're doing all this kind of stuff and you're like, wait a second, why am I even touching this? And it's funny how I solved that problem in my life was I actually hired somebody to sit across the desk from me. I had them stare at me all day long. And so every single time I was grabbing something, I was like, is this a me thing, a he thing, or is a we thing? Meaning I have to train him. And so then we kind of work through that. And man, like just paying somebody, you're just look at me like all day long, just sit there and stare at me. I know it's obnoxious, it's a little shiny at times, but it's okay. We're going to work through that. But, it was a great lesson. And so then it went from that to then I had a team of 3 people inside of my office because of the high productivity. It was like, okay, first it became 1, and then it turned out to be 3. And I got really good at delegating, really trying to figure out what that top 20%. And the longer you go, you get to refine that top 20%. It's like, wait a second, then you're really living in just this sharpest edge and you're getting as much stuff done as possible.
Would you attribute that or being able to do that to your lighthouse kind of process?
Yeah, it's, when you're talking about having the right fuel source, having that right drive inside of you, it's always pushing you to something greater. And a lot of times people's fuel to find something greater gets limited because they don't have the right abilities to see beyond whatever thing they're trying to tackle. And because it's always relying on me instead of we. And so then it's like, as you start working through and delegating and start building a team, then you can start seeing past just this small goal. Then you're like, wait a second, what can I become? And you have to start opening, broaden up your horizon, being like, oh my gosh, like I can achieve so much more. And then you start setting bigger goals. And then you're like, wow, I got to, set a goal that's like stupid, like a stupid goal, like insane amount of goal. Like, what do I want to really do in life? And that's really where it's like kind of you start seeing more the potential of the reality once you learn how to delegate better and become more specific with your time and your attention.
Yeah. Uh, I love the book. I'm taking my time with it because it does make you think. And, you just said that having someone sit across from you, I didn't have that, but it did put the thought in my mind that, man, if someone bigger, more successful than I am is following me around for a day, would I be happy with what they're seeing?
Mm,
That kind of thing. And, I find myself successful, but man, you can always be just doing
yep.
more. Just be
100%.
clear on that stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, I beat myself up all the time still on efficiency. I sit there, I wake up at 4:30 every morning and I work through my normal routine, my process, and then it's like, man, like did I make the best of that time over and over again? And it's kind of that mental check and balance. And it's like, man, like I did a lot of good, but I could have been more efficient with this or efficient with that. Now, here's where the juggle is because relationships aren't efficient
mhm.
naturally. And so it's hard you got to have this switch in your life. As a mom and as a dad myself, it is this thing like you can have all these goals and all these ambitions, but when there's a need, you have needs of your children, need of your spouse, you have these needs that pop up, you got to flip into a different mode and be caring, kind. You got to slow your pace because I'm a very fast paced person. And my son needs me. And I got to kind of like, just take this slow down moment. I'm like, all right, I got to go from rabbit to tortoise. And I got to slow down a little bit, be present, be connective. And then as soon as that scenario is done, then I got to go back to being a rabbit. Now I got to work even harder as a rabbit because I just had this downtime over here. So it's hard with this juggle, but it's an amazing thing. And the more you learn how to adapt in those circumstances, the better you'll be.
Chapter 6, you said, I am dedicated to impacting your life, and that is why I want to go beyond the normal scope of just writing a book.
Mm.
Um, Elaborate a little bit more on that, what that meant to you when you wrote it.
So for me, my one of my favorite quotes ever made, and you'll probably hear this next time you hear me talk, which is probably going to be next week, which is awesome. It's if you inspire an idiot, now you just have an inspired idiot. And that's really where there's so many people, and not bashing, there's so many great books out there, but I feel like there's a lot of books that get people moving, and they get them moving some, but they never complete the circle. And so you never have the ability to really find the roadmap. And so for me, we have the book, we've got resources. As you've seen in the book, we have a lot of questions that really help people work through some of this stuff. But then with the resources, it goes even further with some worksheets, with some videos. And then that also gets you, then you have ability to get free access to a course. And then we have courses and we go all the way up to a mastermind. So depending on where you're at in your journey of trying to work through these things, we have the process everywhere from the inspiration all the way through to the completion. And that's really where it has to always go beyond just some pages. It has to go all the way through to a purpose in my heart to really have a major impact beyond just two covers.
Yeah. And you said that there's some free resources. And I think in the book you have QR codes, so that'll take you to all of that. And
Exactly.
you do consulting, like one-on-ones, groups, and what kind
Yes. Yeah, we do coaching. I do personally one-on-one coaching. We also do group coaching. We have this mastermind, which is probably one of my favorite things that we've ever done. Talk about fast momentum. It's very intensive and it really helps people work through all these back end, the core of who you really are. What are you really built for? What is fueling you? And then what are the lighthouses that you're chasing after? While at the same time, we work you through these cognitive biases, which I call cracked lens, that is holding you back from really achieving your greatness. What are these things that are pre-programmed from childhood, from past relationships, from trauma, drama, all this kind of stuff that is keeping you from really chasing down your future? And then what's the noise around you that you just keep on hearing, that those thoughts in your head from the past? It's like keeping you restricted. And so breaking people free and helping them really find a new process that they can set in place to achieve results. And that's what it's about. I was just talking with my wife and with our entire team. Like, the one thing I want to be known for the rest of my life is the guy that helps people break free. And that's it. Yeah, I want you to achieve success, but before you can set lighthouses, before you can really go after your greatest future, you got to relinquish and release these things from the past and really know how to work through and correct these lenses and all these cognitive biases and all this stuff back here to really be able to run forward properly.
Hey, if you're getting any value out of this, my real estate team and I are racking up 5-star reviews over on Google. So if you're looking to buy a home in Connecticut or New York, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to help you. So if you'd like more information, please click the link below in my description and it'll take you to where you need to go. See you soon.
You had mentioned your wife. I believe that she's part of your team.
Yep.
What would you say to, couples in that, suck less, do better? Like, how do you, work together, suck less and do better as a husband and a wife or a partner?
Man, that is a very tough question, and that's why I love it so much. There's always reflectives. The same way we take into our career, we take into our life this preconceived notions, these automatic responses. They're called automaticities. And so you have these cracked lenses or cognitive biases, and then you have these automaticities, these automatic responses that happen. And how many times do we get triggered based upon our past or our history from childhood, from past relationships, girlfriends, boyfriends, ex-spouses? It doesn't matter. We have these triggers or we have these assumptions that we take in. And so one exercise that we've done a lot of is this a he problem, a she problem, or a we problem? And so depending on where you sit on that side, he or she, it always starts with he or you. You start reflecting. What am I bringing in? What are the triggers? What is the process? What are the cracked lenses? What are the things in this relationship that I have that I'm bringing to this scenario? And now obviously we're not perfect, but if you both have this care and concern for each other and you always have this self-reflection first, it helps kind of bring into the table issues like, hey babe, I had this feeling before. I think it might be triggered from my past, but this just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It's not saying don't communicate about it. But if you take it from a self-reflective standpoint first, then a lot of times what will happen is on the other side, it will be received a lot better. Or you can go with asking deeper questions and walking through that process and then being able to work through it. Self-reflection and communication, very important.
So your book, Suck Less, Do Better, I guess, what's the best place or avenue for people to get that book?
Yeah, you can get it on my website, which is Success with Nate Green. There's a link. And the reason why I like people going there is because, yes, it does end up putting you at Amazon, but you can get the resources through that same page as well. So if you just go to my website, Success with Nate Green, you can also get access to the free course. There's a programs tab. You can go there, get access to the free course. You can jump in there, grab the book. You can read a little bit more about me. You can hear me talking on a little video. I have no idea what it was all in there, but it's a blast. And so you can dive in and keep on pushing deeper. And that's the thing is like you got to investigate, interrogate, and really discover what this next phase of your life is going to look like. And that's where, we try to be a resource for people.
And so what's the next phase of your life? I hear a little birdie told me that you might be writing another book.
Oh man, I'm so excited about this. This is probably, I don't know, I keep on saying like, our mastermind's my favorite project so far, but this one is like I'm so excited about it. It is called Cracked Lenses Breed Broken Dreams. And it's all about these things from childhood and our past and how there's three different dreams that you can be held back from. And it's either your current dreams, which is the first one, the current dreams that you see, like the things that you're already like, oh my gosh, I want to accomplish this. The cracked lenses can hold you back from achieving those. The second one are the dreams you once had, the dreams from your past that you've released because you're like, oh, I'm just not good enough, or I'm this, or I'm that. And then the third one, which hits the hardest, is the dreams you never knew were yours.
Wow.
And so for me, this project is really cool. We got the book that is, I'm hoping it's going to be out by like June, July-ish. But then we have a project that's going alongside. I can't really talk about that yet, but we got a cool project that's running alongside of it. That's going to be exciting. As much as I love the fact that Suck Less, Do Better, I love it. I kind of like created more of a roadmap. It really left me like more hungry to narrow down further because it was more broad. It was kind of roadmap style, but like the most I'm passionate about is the crack lenses because that's what has been my biggest holdback in life, and I had to break through that, and so that's where, really with that self reflection, it's like what do I really want to do? I just want to help people break free, just go beyond, like remove all these parachutes that are attached to your back and you just can't run. And that's the biggest thing is like, man, we gotta help people kind of unlock a different version of themselves.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess, is there anything else that you kind of want people to take away from the book or say a little bit more about the book or, anything? Like
So, I
what
mean,
are,
whether it's the book or not, I think it's more a matter of circumstances. The circumstances that you are in today, they aren't going to define you. And you have to make sure that you figure out this life that you're in this moment. Is this really the greatest version of you that you are called to live? Is this really what it's about? The
yeah,
process, or if you look back at the wake, like behind a boat, is that really what you're going to be satisfied with if you keep on going in that path, in that direction? When you get to your deathbed, when you look back, are you going to be satisfied, happy, or are you going to be left with regrets? And there's different types of regrets. There's relational regrets, but there's also performance regrets, such as like, man, like I know that I was built to take on bigger challenges. What does that look like in your life? And so it doesn't matter whether you're a real estate agent, doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, what does the process look like? Because the journeys that we're on is not always about making money. It's really about impact. How many lives can we reach? And what can we do with those opportunities? And then maximizing each day to make sure that we're moving forward on that mission that we're really built to be on.
yeah, awesome. Well, grab it here. Do a little plug. Everyone, Suck Less, Do Better. Great book. There you go. Um,
Thank you. Yes.
well, thank you, Nate. I'm sure you're really busy and I appreciate it. And it was a pleasure speaking with you today. And, I look forward to the next book. So,
Natasha, I really appreciate you, and I look forward to working with you down the road.
Wow, that was amazing. Nate really knows how to bring it. I got so many takeaways from our conversation, and I hope you did too. Please take a moment to like and subscribe to our channel. And if you ever had any questions about buying a home, selling a home, or investing in any property, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned for our next video, and I'll see you soon. Take care.